Yay Networks.
Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Sybil, and I can't wait for you to hear all of the Great Girlfriend magic on today's show. So without further ado, grab something great to drink, grab your pen and your paper, and get ready for this week's episode. Enjoy! Okay, great girlfriends, get ready because we're about to have more than a barrel of laughs because my guest today, Kenya, has already brought so much love, light, and joy to the studio. I can't thank you enough for just our past 3 minutes.
Well, Sybil, thank you for having me. I don't know.
I feel very kindred with you.
What you're putting down.
No, buy it. It's real. It's real deal.
Okay, well,
no, but seriously. Okay, so before I get into any and everything with Kenya, I want to tell you a little bit about who she is. And I'm still learning about your story, Kenya. And today I want to talk to you about having these evolutions that take place in life and how do we roll with the punches, right? How do we learn how to roll with them? How do we find our voice in the middle of chaos and turmoil and conflicts or humiliation that comes up? So that's the stuff we're going to talk about today. But first, great girlfriends, just look at her and get into her. While you look at her and get into Kenya.
Oh, wait now. Wait.
Yes, get into Kenya. Okay. Get into Kenya. Kenya Duke is a successful entrepreneur, a TV personality, and podcast host. Her kids are grown. You got grown kids. I love that.
I got a 21-year-old.
Like how? I can't imagine my little juicy dills ever being 21. Like she's gonna grow up on me.
Good and bad.
Okay.
Transition.
She has grown kids and on their own, and she had a very public divorce, which is in her rearview mirror, and she is sexy as hell and living life by her own rules now. Plus, as an unapologetic, unfiltered, strong Black woman, Kenya likes asking the questions we all really want the answers to. She is truly Kenya, and that is the name of her podcast. Please go download it wherever you get your favorite podcast. Right next to the Great Girlfriends, okay, your favorites. You go grab Truly Kenya. Go ahead and leave her a 5-star while you're there.
Thank you,
Kenya.
Yeah,
the life and times. I want to know about first of all, I want to know about your growing up story. There once was a girl named Kenya.
There once was a girl named Kenya, born, raised in Oakland, California, the Bay. I still love the Bay. I don't live far from the Bay. We are in the Bay often. And I had a single mother because my father was killed when I was 6. And so having my kids with their dad was really super, super important.
Mm-hmm.
But I had strong family, close family. We were at my grandmother's little bitty house on Sundays, Thanksgivings, and didn't even realize we were all squeezed in there until you get older. Maybe you have a bigger house. And, you're stressing like, I don't know if I have enough people. Like, we were in like 1,000 square feet.
Jammed in that living room with a TV that was this big, all squeezed watching Soul Train. But go ahead.
Yes. So she, I would say I've always been independent, even as a little girl. I had big dreams for myself, and sometimes we get sidetracked with family and life.
Yeah.
And so I'm making up for lost time.
I love that. So in that lost time came a lot of stuff, lifing. Yeah. And I love that, one of the things that we talk about a lot on the Great Girlfriends show is that God redeems time. I fully believe that what we think we may have lost, in the fire, in the flames, we find that, in faith and in belief and really applying that trust in yourself that God will redeem hope and give you the ability to go after the things that you truly deserve and desire.
And, I think in my situation, so I have no regrets. I really live a life of no regrets because I think all my situations I've learned something from.
Yeah.
I've taken away. And I think that everything that has happened to me, good and bad, was supposed to happen to me, when it happened to me, and how it happened to me.
Yeah.
And what I am so thankful for is that I feel God has given me a second chance to live that life, that I got sidetracked. And so I'm not wasting it.
Yeah. I'm not wasting it. It's good.
No. And I wake up every day very thankful. Now, I don't always end the day thankful, but I start every day very thankful.
Yes, yes.
And I hope, so everything I do is intentional. That's what I should say. In this second part of my life, everything I do is intentional because I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste the gift that I've been given.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm healthy. I'm happy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just grateful. I really am.
My goodness. I can feel that really great energy coming off of you there, especially that happiness.
Yeah.
And there's a sense of peace that I'm sure comes with a lot of stories.
Right. Yeah.
And because I think what we learn as women is that we have to claim our peace. There's so many opportunities for people to pull from our peace, but if we don't claim it and hold on to it, it is easily lost to circumstances.
Right, especially marriage, children.
Yep.
And I don't even regret those circumstances or the reasons why I, sidetracked myself because I am exactly the mother I wanted to be. So when I look back on how I mothered my children in terms of who they are as people, I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I sleep well at night.
That's good.
Yeah. And, as they were growing up, not every day was a good day, but what I did know at the end of the day, tomorrow I can wake up and make it different, and I used to even tell my kids that, no, today you're not having cookies or today you're not playing outside, but tomorrow you can make different choices.
Right.
And we can try again.
Yeah.
And not only for them, but for me as a parent. Like sometimes, I look back, I was like, oh, you kind of overreacted. You know what I mean? That was and I used to tell my kids like, hey, can I get a redo about how I responded to
I like
this?
that.
And
I'm taking that.
You take it. And then I would, respond differently. Because sometimes people throw stuff at you, you're not really ready, but you respond so quickly.
Yep.
And then you take a breath, you take a beat, and you're like, I don't know if that's exactly how I wanted to respond. And especially with your children, just for me, especially with my kids.
No, you're right. It's so funny. My husband and I talk about this often because, we were patting ourselves on the back the other day, riding in the car like, you know what? We've apologized to our kids more than we've ever received apologies from our. They're not like that generation of parents. They were not about talking. They were like, "Wait, what?" And I'll hit you again if you keep crying. You're like, "Hold, that was enough pain. Thank you very much."
I got it. But their apologies were like, "Are you ready to eat?"
Right, or I made a chocolate cake. Right, like you like, is that the way you say? Like, oh, I can have a piece of chicken. Okay, I guess that means we good again. Yeah. And for us, we literally will go in and be like, you know what? I could have done better.
Right.
That was not the best version of me as a mother, as a woman, and I apologize to you. I didn't mean to. When in that moment, I don't want you to walk away thinking that was the best way I can love you.
Right.
Like so, we are literally patting ourselves but it is true in parenting, right, Kenya, that you do find yourself, if you really can be honest as a parent, you can find yourself saying, yo, I'm off. I don't have a script for this. So there's going to be a lot of times when I'm tripping over my own feet and I'm going to have to come to you and say, I need a redo.
Right.
I apologize. Can we reset?
Right.
But I think the power is in being able to do that.
But not only that, you're leading by example.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that becomes their normal.
Yeah.
If I screw up or I do something wrong, I just apologize and say, hey, I'm sorry. Can I get a redo? Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
And it just becomes ingrained.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And there's a big piece of putting your ego to the side in the middle of that too, where you realize, in my upbringing, I thought parents had it all together. I literally thought they knew what they were doing day by day, hour by hour. Like I didn't know because they were so sure-footed, and they also never quite humbled themselves to say they didn't know what they were doing, or they were, when they made a mistake. You know what I mean? And so I think one of the lessons for us is to be able to put our egos to the side and say, guess what, kids? I didn't know what I was doing then, or I did know, and I shouldn't have triggered you with some of these bad things that I went through. And that putting that ego aside is applicable across every single aspect of life, because we come across, and we've been talking about this a lot on the podcast, varying facets of relationships where things go south. And most of the time, ego gets in the way. And we find ourselves having to say, I could have done better. And it's a simple line that opens the door to a new day. But if you're never able to say it, even to yourself, you're never able to see what's next or what's new for you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And like I said, I think when it is modeled for you, it really becomes second nature.
Yeah.
You know, you don't even think about, I need to put my ego. It just becomes second nature.
Yep. Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's true because you start to say, you know what, this relationship is so important to me, or this this experience with you is so important. I want it to be as valuable. I want you to know it's as valuable as it is. So let me do what's best. That becomes the forefront of the mind. That's really good.
Yeah.
I want to talk about going through a public divorce.
Yep. I don't recommend it. Okay.
Well, how do you not though? Like, okay, so good. There's so many questions, not about the who, what, wins, but the how you practice keeping control of yourself amidst that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing about me on my podcast in life, as I move around, I'm very consistent about who I am. Okay. The good, the bad, the ugly. I'm very consistent. So I will say that there are some people that may look at, because, you know, I did post some things, I wrote some things, and everything I wrote was true. But I did write and post some things. I did act out when I thought he was acting out. Right?
Okay.
And because I had him blocked, he had me blocked, it wasn't like just pick up the phone. You know what I mean? That's the ego, right? You know what I mean? And so I did post things on whatever, my Instagram that was picked up. And I think as an adult, I would like to say I regret those things, but I'm not there yet because I don't regret them.
Right.
But I may regret them in 5 years.
Yeah.
Like not what I said, but how I said it or how I handled that. And that's just all a part, though, of my journey. But what I will say is in this particular, because I have an older son that has a different father. So that relationship, when we broke up, I was literally heartbroken. In the bed 2 weeks, like heartbroken. But in this relationship, I wasn't heartbroken.
Wow.
I felt some guilt. I should say this. I wasn't heartbroken for myself. I was heartbroken for my children. Okay.
I got you.
So we have 2 kids. We had 2 kids together. I was really, really saddened for them. Not for myself, though. But there was so much financial stuff happening that I had to feel guilt about what they were experiencing, sadness about what they were experiencing, but I had to keep it moving.
Yeah.
Because I had to make sure financially, you're going to stay in college.
Right.
We'll have a place to live.
Yeah.
I was totally 100% invested in him. So I got to figure out how I am going to be financially whole. Yeah. So I can help you. Whatever. If we have to get a loan for you to go to school. Yeah. If whatever that's going to be, I have to get a new place to live. Whatever, a car, a new place to live. I have to be okay too. And I'm not 20 and 30 where you just say, screw you. And I'll just start all over. Right. Because that is who I am. I got older kids now. Right. I'm older now. Yeah. And it's everything. I don't have another, well, I don't know. A psychic said I was going to live until I was 92. So I guess technically. 92? I do. I know, right? But I didn't feel like I had time to process. Do you know what I mean?
It was happening to you fast.
Right. I'm just trying to get paperwork. Remember every conversation we had. Remember where all the money is. Remember it was, you know what I mean? I'm still trying to be supportive to my kids. So there was really no time in that. And I think had God allowed me to feel heartbreak, I would, financially, we would be ruined. I would be ruined. Yeah. Well, and if I'm ruined, they're ruined because they get everything really from me, you know? So like I said, I think it played out the way it was supposed to. I tell people this, you don't need a bunch of friends, but you need one stable friend to get you through. And I had 2, and I probably have more, but I chose 2. Yeah. To get you through. You know what I mean? That you could tell, that you can vent. Yep. And your stable friend that you're going to choose really has to be stable. So she can't be
That's a
out
fact.
drinking all night and you expect her to give you some good advice.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. You have to find some normal, stable person that you can feed off of, that you could go to. And I also had a therapist in addition to my 2 cousins who are like sisters to me.
Oh, I love that. Come on, cousin, sister, friends.
I know, because we were together for, I think, 24 years, married 18. I don't know, something like that. And what was important to me, though, was therapy. So I did immediately get into therapy. And what I knew is, okay, so I didn't have a man problem. It was going to be,
it was going to be fine.
I was going to be fine, okay? But I didn't want to carry baggage. Whatever baggage, maybe it was baggage there that I had that I didn't even recognize. I just knew I did not want to carry it on.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to carry on bitterness or anger or anything like that. And so therapy was really important to me. And I just realized at the core, although I may have been sidetracked in terms of things I wanted to do, I was still that same person. I'm still loving. I'm still very nurturing. I still like to have a good time. All those things. I'm still a dreamer, but I'm a dreamer with action.
Because now you know that you have the power, the control, the ability to do. Yeah, you said you're not wasting that time either.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not wasting my time with people I don't feel deserve it. I'm not wasting my time on opportunities that I'm grateful for, but are not a good fit for me. I'm just not wasting my time doing anything that doesn't make me fulfilled and happy. Period. I don't care how much money is involved. I'm not doing it.
Tell me about some of the darkest emotions that were present when you were going through that space. I imagine that it's hard to know who to trust. And
I think the darkest is I did have to let some friends go.
Okay.
So for me, that was probably the darkest because I didn't even really know. Although people reach out, I was finding out so much information.
Okay.
So much information about things that I didn't know. It just left me in a place where I didn't know who to trust. So I made those in terms of, everybody wants the details.
Yeah.
Girl, we really
hey, girl, so what exactly?
Exactly. Okay. But I had to pick and choose very carefully who I wanted to share with.
Right.
And letting people go that I used to go out and I have fun with them. Whatever, maybe cut them off, push them back. I think that was more hard. I think emotionally, from the marriage, that wasn't hard for me.
Okay.
So I know. Listen, I believe in marriage. I want people to be married. I want you to work on your marriage. I am saying in my situation that everything happens for a reason. It was time to go. So like I said, I just didn't mourn the loss of that. I just knew I had to understand what my new normal looked like.
What did bravery mean to you during that time frame? Because I just imagine making you 24 years, you said, in a space. And then, when you have to make those pivots, there has to be an audacity that rises up on the inside of you.
I think it's
like a bravery and
I was so afraid of being poor. I was so afraid, not even poor, just terrible credit.
Yeah.
Not being able to help my daughter if she needed to get a loan.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to be a co-signer
Making choices.
So it's like if somebody you care about was bleeding to death, you just move into let's get you, however I got to do that, right? Like in crisis mode. So that's how I was functioning.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, the bravery was you're going to sit here and you're going to remember every conversation. You're going to remember every bank account. You're going to remember every deal. You're going to go back through all them emails and you're going to find it. Even when I was like, I do not feel like going back through all of this because we work so closely together. But I knew either you're going to do it now or you'll be doing it in a tent under the bridge. You, Austin, and Daisy, okay? You all sitting in that dog gonna be in a tent, girl. You better get it together. So I didn't really have that time to sit and be sad about it. And so maybe now, all these processes of grief, maybe I worked through it, but I just don't ever wake up regretful. I want him to be happy because he is the father of my children. I want my kids to be happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If God said, listen, somebody about to suffer. I definitely wouldn't choose my children.
Right.
And I wouldn't choose me.
Hello.
Okay? I'm just saying.
Look, and we're going to leave that right there. Look.
But we wish everybody the best.
Everybody the best. As long as best can be.
As best can be.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
That's really good.
I think women, I think people are, especially when you start to have kids and stuff, I think we walk in bravery all day. It is like, for instance, my kids are mixed, heavily identify with being Black. They Black on all their paperwork. Okay. But they, it's hard, like even as a parent. So they went, we were in the suburbs. We moving on up. They had a very good private school, Christian private school. Few Blacks. Few Blacks. And to me, it is bravery to parent the way I want to parent.
Yeah.
Amongst rich white women.
Right.
So, and not care how they take it or how they make fun of me, but to be consistent.
Right.
So I was never a sleepover mom.
Yeah.
My kids went to the parties and I picked them up. I mean, they had two people. Kennedy had two people.
Safe houses.
Yeah. Because you don't know what people go home to.
Come on.
And you don't know who people's friends and uncles and all that, right? So I had to be like, everybody knew. They would say, oh, Kennedy's coming, so let's try to have all the games and have everything finished by 12 o'clock so she could participate.
Right.
You know what I said? Thank you. Because she will be picked up.
She's leaving. Yeah.
She'll be picked up.
I don't need to explain or apologize.
And I don't care if y'all sit in the corner drinking rosé and talk about me. I don't care if she getting picked up.
Yeah.
Austin, he getting picked up too because don't nothing happen after 12 o'clock with a bunch of teenage boys. Hello. None good happens.
Hello.
So go have fun, but you coming home.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if it's in public, whatever.
That's part of this. What I see from you and what I'm hearing is being unapologetic in your evolution has made space for you to have standards that you can abide by, that other people can respect. Yeah,
and if they don't respect it, who cares? That's where I'm at.
Can we live on that street for 3 minutes?
Seriously.
Because I believe personally, everybody talks about their boundaries, and I'm like, well, let's start with standards. Let's just keep in mind that when you have standards, you protect them with boundaries. But people have boundaries that have no standards, and they don't understand that there is a difference between the two.
I think that they are.
Yeah, and having high standards will allow you permission to have a lower. You don't even have to have as high a boundary wall because your decisiveness in certain moments will be to protect your standard. Your standard is that I do these things. Your standard was that, I'm not going to allow my children to sleep over because you wanted to do what was in the best interest of your children. Your boundary might say, I don't allow toxic people around my kids. Your standard was that we go home at night.
Right. We go home at night.
That's our standard.
And just think, if I would have cared about their opinion in 6th grade, here she is, 21.
Right.
What impact does that have on me?
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Today, none.
Yeah.
So who cares about what somebody feels about how you move through the world?
Exactly.
How you parent. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. You better do what you feel is best for you and always for your kids. And sometimes what you want to do ain't what is best for your kids. So you got to put, you put the kids first.
Yeah.
Always put the kids first. That's what I would say. So sometimes you can't be out girls' night, okay? Sometimes we got to be at the basketball game, okay?
That's right. That's right. Because that's what's popping that day. That's what's popping. So, okay, but even in doing that, right, as we start thinking about standards, you give yourself permission to do certain things, and certain things you are not interested in as a result of having these standards. I like how you open the door to your podcast, there is a businesswoman in there, right? You've been doing business. You were doing business in partnership, and now you're doing business for yourself. You're taking that same standard, that same amount of thought leadership, that excellence, all the things that you know, and you're applying it to your own value. That's important.
It is important. And this is one thing when people ask, like, there has to be some bitterness. you have to have some sort of feelings about my ex or the things that went on. And the truth is, if it were not for my ex, I would not be doing a podcast. He's the one that said, who planted that seed. You would be good doing a podcast. I get really high numbers. They like you. You should do a podcast. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think he was really good with his podcast. So I was able to upfront learn something, but I am very grateful. So I don't have bitterness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have bitterness.
Good stuff.
Not like that.
What would you say to the woman that does have bitterness?
I would think the bitterness is going to hold you back. It's such a heavy weight. And I think that you may not even realize it. You probably going through life thinking you good, you fine. You know, you just have, I can't stand him. But once you're able to work through that and figure out, okay, what about this, about him, about the situation, what am I really bothered by? Once you're able to work that out, maybe you need a therapist if you don't have that good friend. You will feel, when you no longer feel the bitterness and the anger, you will feel a tremendous amount of weight lifted. And then you're going to know, I was carrying that weight. You don't feel it now because it's your way of life. But if you can find a way to get to a point when you're like, it didn't work.
Yeah.
He wasn't the best choice for me. I don't even think he cared about me at all. Whatever those thoughts are. Once you are able to move on and work through that, I am telling you, your life is going to be so good. I promise you, it's going to be so good. You got to work through the bitterness, though, because even when you think you're not showing it to the kids are picking up on all those feelings, and you ain't got to tell them nothing bad about their daddy. They gonna figure it out, or the mama that ain't there, or the mama that did it. They gonna figure it out. You don't have to say nothing. You know what I mean? But I do think we constantly, even with older kids, you try to lead in leadership. Yeah. So, you know, I still say, hey, it's Father's Day. Hey, it's your dad's birthday. Do you know what I mean? They are grown now. So what they do with that information is what they're going to do with it. But I always send the reminder.
That's so good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is so good. This new side of life that you're in, you said life gets so good. And I feel like you came in here just all greased up, just glowing and like.
Listen, if the people, if they rub against you, they gotta feel the softness. Okay, you want them to rub up again,
exfoliated, and just like the glow is real. And life is good, and I can tell life is good. Yeah. And so, and I want to know what life is about for you now, because we're talking truly Kenya. We've got adult kids. You said, I'm good on any MLK Boulevard, so I can date in any zip code. I can do what I want. You're thrilled. I can feel like, I can really feel it, and I'm being very, like, it's just like, it's out there. So what is life about for you right now? And I want to know about truly Kenya too.
So my manifestations are honestly financial. It's all really money, building my business, and attaining certain things. So my manifestations and prayers are really never about love, because I feel like, I am literally starting over. Okay, so. And I don't feel like I have as much time as I did if I were 20 or 30. Right. So I'm working harder and with much more intent, much more intentional. So it really takes up a lot of my thoughts, is the rebuilding, because I don't necessarily know if I need to leave this legacy everybody talks about. But when my daughter gets married, I want to be able to pay for it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like simple things. If that's great. They need, I'm not going to co-sign on nobody's anything, but I'll give you the money for what you need for your down payment. Okay. I don't want to, I don't want to co-sign, but I'll give you the money you need. Right. And I want to be able to do that. Yeah. Her dad like for my daughter in college, he has paid all of her undergrad. I'm very grateful about that.
Yeah.
However, he didn't offer to pay for grad school. You know what I mean? Maybe he will. I can't count on that.
Right. You want to be prepared.
I do.
Yeah.
I want to pay for grad school. And I don't think parents have to pay for college and grad school. I do not think that. I'm just saying, as the parent I am,
right,
I would really like to help her not come out of grad school with a lot of debt.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
But I don't think you owe it to your kids. We all had to take out, I had to take out loans and I was fine. So, but I just want to be able to be helpful to all of them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I do have a good life. And let me tell you something. God, sometimes he takes a little long.
Hello.
When I was going through that divorce. Okay. Some days I was like,
Jesus, did you get my email?
Yeah, like you do hear my prayers, right? But
I said amen.
He always has come through.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Something could have been due on the 29th, and I'm like, oh boy, I don't know how this is going to work. And on the 28th at 5 p.m.,
hey,
that money came through.
Come on.
Thank you, Jesus. Okay. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. I love it. I love it because that's true. That's true. That's true. And we have to trust and flow in the process.
And that's hard. Like, I think it's something
hard.
You have to decide either I'm going to trust God. And when I'm saying trust God, it doesn't mean that you put the prayer out and then you sit on your sofa
just sit back and
eat
get on
bonbons.
Instagram. Right,
I ain't saying that. Okay. You still working. But what I am saying is once you pray and ask, you got to decide, I'm trusting he's going to come through.
Yep.
Or I'm going to still worry about it.
Yeah.
And if you're going to still worry about it,
then you may as well not pray.
You might as well not.
Put that belief over there on the street somewhere.
Right.
It's not working.
Right.
You're right.
And
You're right.
Listen, I have been so poor, negative in the account, 2 servings of dog food, like a light disconnection, like everything. I've been that poor and not knowing really what I was going to do, but I wasn't worried. And it always came through. Always, always, always. Came when whatever, money for lawyer, everything.
Yeah.
So I listen, I know y'all funny now and not everybody believe in God, but I'm telling you, God has always shown up for truly Kenya.
That's right.
Always.
I love that so much because and the truth of the matter is where you apply your belief and your faith is where you're going to see results. And some people don't even understand they're applying belief and faith in worries, in bills, in circumstances. And you're getting those results because you're putting so much belief and mental power there.
Right.
But what you just said is so powerful for the great girlfriend that's listening to put that belief, put that prayer out there and then take mental rest.
Take mental rest.
Like,
but when you speak on yourself, the things you're trying to do, you need to speak them into existence.
Yeah.
So, for instance, when I speak on the podcast, let me just say, right before I start the podcast, I always speak on the podcast as it's going to, in 5 years, my podcast will be one of the most successful listened to podcast out there.
Yes.
I believe that.
Yes.
And I let it go. I never speak in, I am going to, I don't know, amass $1 million.
Yeah.
You don't, not what you're going to do. I have $1 million. You know, you really got to do it. You have to affirm it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean you go out and buy some stuff you can't afford
because you then thought it forth and it's not at the bank
but
yet.
You only can put out these positive vibes because I'm telling you, the world manifests.
Absolutely,
it's listening. So I don't know, just you got to stay positive. Speaking on your children, yourself, and your businesses. It's always never in a negative. Never.
So what is the one, if you had to leave every woman that's listening around the world with one affirmation, what's one thing you would tell her or remind her to affirm herself? What would you say?
Something really simple.
Okay.
We would be reminding ourselves all day that we are good enough because I think women hear from so many different, Instagram, you look at these girls that got, nice lipo bodies, tummy tucks, That could be maybe I need to go do this. Do you know what I mean? We get so many negative signals. It could be from your lover. It could be from your family. It could be from your boss. Everybody telling you, you could be better at this. You could be better at this. You could be better at this. Do this, do that. You know what I mean? To get here, to get there. And I just think at some point, you have to believe I'm good enough. I'm good enough to have the #1 podcast within 5 years. I'm good enough to, whatever that is to you, I think you have to tell yourself that, I tell especially if it comes about, and when I'm saying good enough as you are. I don't care if you 500, 400 pounds now. Now that may not be healthy if your doctor's telling you to lose it. Okay. But in terms aesthetically, don't be letting people put,
that's right.
Oh, that size is not good and not sexy or whatever. Like, you better, if you're going to be 500 pounds, you better own it. Yeah. Okay. I get, I feel like sometimes I'm too thin. In fact, I walked into July 4th barbecue. My aunt said, "Oh, you put on some weight. Good." I was like, "Oh,
okay, auntie."
I needed to look at her and say, "I'm good enough." That's who needs to hear it.
Right.
Eleanor. Right. I'm good enough. I'm good enough at 140.
Yes. Like, I'm good enough.
I'm good enough.
Have a seat, auntie.
Right. But
you're absolutely right, though. There's so many industries that are constructed to devalue us.
Yes.
Beauty industry, #1 culprit, telling us we need more. We need to get the lashes, the glow, the bronzer, the serum, and then we'll be enough. Then we'll be beautiful. But that point of arrival it's a birthright.
Right.
Value is a birthright.
But you're
and
good
we
enough,
are good enough.
You're good enough to start that boutique.
Right.
You're good enough to start that salon.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're good enough if you want to be a celebrity hairstylist or whatever. You are good enough. And I just think that if we could just start there, I think so many other things will fall into line. So when somebody walks up to you to try to imply you aren't good enough, you're gonna be like, "Who are you talking to?"
And when you have those dark moments where you're saying, "Am I good enough?" You will answer yourself with, "You are good enough." Yes, you are good enough.
Yes.
I love that. Okay. Where are we listening to Truly Kenya? Where are we keeping up on Instagram?
Okay.
How can they DM you and touch base with you?
So everything is pretty simple in my world. Instagram is Truly Kenya. Facebook is Truly Kenya. On YouTube, it's the Truly Kenya podcast. If you're a visual person, YouTube is the place to go. But we're also on all your favorite podcast platforms. I would love for you to take a listen, like us, share us. It's all appreciated.
It is. And we appreciate you for being here today. You really you came with the sunshine, with the glow, with the vibrance. This is the perfect. This is real. I just want you to know that I can see you. I can see you. I can see you. I can see you. I can feel you.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's really, really good. It is.
No,
I can see you.
That's so powerful to say to anyone.
I can see you, and it's good. It's real. Like, it's good. And I'm just excited for your seasons of evolution and all the summers that remain. 92 and beyond, girl, because who knows? Like,
who knows?
Who knows? 92 is our minimum, but hey, you might be 120 on the beach running fine.
I do know the beach now.
Oh my gosh. Great girlfriends. If you enjoyed this episode, do let us know. Leave a review on iTunes. You can also email us welcome@thegreatgirlfriends.com. Please, please, please jump into Kenya's DMs and let her know how much you love and adore her and see her. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and we love you. Peace.
Hey, great girlfriends. It's me, Dylan. Welcome to the Motivational Minute. Today's quote is by Nancy Rathburn. It is, "A strong woman understands that the gifts such as logic, decisiveness, and strength are just as feminine as intuition and emotional connection. She values and uses all of her gifts." I think this means that women are able to value and think and use their gifts in the way that they need to be used at the specific time. And I think that's a good thing. This has been my Motivational Minute. Bye.
All right, great girlfriends, did you enjoy this week's episode of the podcast? If so, would you please give us your amazing review on iTunes? Every single review helps another great girlfriend get plugged into the podcast and the community. Speaking of community, make sure you join our Facebook group at The Great Girlfriends, follow us on Instagram at The Great Girlfriends, and on Twitter at _greatGFS. I'm Sybil Amuti, and I'm out. Peace.
Yay Networks.